Hey, my true UVs, what's up? It's your girl, Sansa Ray here, your favorite motivational and inspirational speaker. You've been checking out my Toxic Relationship Tuesday, where I talk about relationships that end in someone dying. Yes, I do true crime. So I've been getting a lot of good feedback about that. And you guys have been wanting me to also do another series of videos on a Thursday. So I have created Thug Thursday, where I'm going to talk about athletes who have committed all types of crimes, okay? Not just murder, but all types of stupid crimes that they shouldn't be committing because they're millionaires, okay? Doesn't make any sense. So anyway, my first story is about Aaron Hernandez. He was born November 6th, 1989, and he passed away April 19th, 2017. He was a football tight end for the NFL, and he played for the New England Patriots. His career actually ended really soon with his arrest and his initial conviction for the murder of Odin Lloyd. He had so many things that he was getting into. He was no goody boy, but I don't think he was a murderer. I do want to say that. I have studied this Aaron Hernandez story for a very long time, and to me, he comes off as the type of guy who was just hanging around the wrong people. He didn't want to let go of old people he was hanging around. He had a soft heart for all of his friends and his family, and even though he got into a lot of trouble, I don't think he was a bad person. And his record started when he was very young. On April 28th, 2007, in Gainesville, Florida, 17-year-old Hernandez consumed 2 alcoholic drinks in a restaurant, refused to pay the bill, and was escorted out by a restaurant employee. As the employee walked away, Hernandez punched him on the side of the head, rupturing his eardrum. Then on September 30th, 2007, 5 gunshots were fired into a car containing Randall Carson, Justin Glass, and Corey Smith while they were waiting at a Gainesville traffic light after having left a nightclub. Carson, a backseat passenger, was uninjured and told police that the shooter was a Hawaiian or Hispanic male with a large build, weighing about 230 pounds and having many tattoos. Glass, the driver, was shot in the arm, and Smith was shot in the back of the head. He was investigated in connection with a double murder that took place on July 16th, 2012 in Boston's South End. Shots were fired into the vehicle of 2 immigrants from Canary Islands. May 15, 2014, Hernandez was indicted on murder charges for the killings, with additional charges of armed assault and attempted murder associated with shots fired at the surviving occupants in the vehicle. The evidence was strongly based on the testimony by a man who was known as a drug dealer. And on April 14, 2017, Hernandez was acquitted of the murders and most of the other charges, but he was found guilty of illegal possession of a handgun. Then, on June 13, 2013, Alexander Bradley, described as a friend of Aaron Hernandez, filed a civil lawsuit for damages against Hernandez in a Florida federal court. Bradley had claimed on February 13, 2013, Hernandez had shot him while the two were riding in a car on Interstate 95 in Palm Beach County following an altercation at a Miami strip club. Bradley alleged that he lost his right eye as a result. At the time when police came to assist Bradley, he declined to name his assailant and no arrest was made. So he didn't snitch. I think this was a problem. He didn't snitch, okay? I don't know if it was actually Aaron who did this. Maybe Aaron knew who did this. But Bradley's lawsuit was dismissed on June 17, 2013 as a result of incorrect paperwork. His attorney refiled it on January 19th, 2013. And in February 2016, Hernandez reached a settlement with Bradley over the lawsuit. The terms of the settlement were not disclosed. This sounds like a lot. He's going through a lot, okay? Now, this is interesting to me because personally, I think that out of all of the things that were happening in Aaron Hernandez's life, pressure was starting to get onto him. Let's just be real here. He was 22 years old when he passed away. So imagine all of the stuff that happened to him between the ages of 17 and to 22. Okay, he was dealing with a lot of stuff. Okay, on May 11th, 2015, Hernandez was indicted for witness intimidation in relation to the 2013 shooting of Bradley, since Bradley was reportedly a witness to the 2012 Boston double homicide. The intimidation charge for Hernandez carried a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. He was later acquitted of the charge of witness intimidation by a jury on April 14th, 2017. Now, I got to read the text messages between Aaron Hernandez and Bradley, and it seems that Aaron was being intimidated. He was saying basically, I'm going to tell the police that you did this and you better give me a whole bunch of money. I mean, he was literally threatening Aaron Hernandez from the text messages. So it looks like in court it was switched as if Bradley was some type of victim, but in reality, the argument that they had with each other where Bradley ends up getting shot in the head, if Aaron Hernandez actually did this and thought that he was deceased after he did it, and he ended up living after then, Bradley had it in for him. He was coming for him, okay? He was threatening his life. And I remember Bill Belichick, who was the coach of the New England Patriots, specifically saying that Hernandez was coming to him saying, listen, I think I'm having some issues and I'm scared for my family. I just had a baby. I have a girlfriend who is soon to be my wife, and I need for her to be protected. And Bill Belichick basically told him to hit up security, the security for the Patriots, because they have that. But some other people, I guess, I'm thinking maybe from the police report, something that was said, there was some type of confusion that Bill Belichick basically told Aaron Hernandez to find another place of residency when some people associated with the team that Bill Belichick had directed him to, these people showed Aaron a whole bunch of properties, and Aaron basically picked this 2-bedroom apartment that had no security or nothing. It was the complete opposite of his home that he shared with his girlfriend. So I don't know if what they're saying about Bill Belichick is true, because some people are like, Bill would never tell him, hey, just lay low in another property. He would tell Aaron to, go get security. So it's a toss up with that. I don't know where to go with that. But on May 11th, 2015, Hernandez was indicted for witness intimidation in relation to the 2013 shooting of Bradley, since Bradley was reportedly a witness to the 2012 Boston double homicide. The intimidation charge for Hernandez carried a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. He was later acquitted of the charge of witness intimidation by a jury on April 14, 2017. Hernandez was arrested and charged for the murder of Odin Lloyd, a semi-professional player who was dating the sister of Hernandez's fiance. Following his arrest, he was immediately released by the Patriots. Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder in 2015 and sentenced to serve life in prison. He told his coach after having a meeting with him about the incident that he did not murder this guy. So I don't know. I think sometimes when I think about this story, I think that he was just trying to be the scapegoat for some other people. Hernandez began dating Cheyenne Jenkins in 2007. They had a daughter together who was born on November 2012. They became engaged in the same month their daughter was born. That month, Hernandez purchased a 7,100 square foot 4-story home with an in-ground pool in Massachusetts for $1.3 million, where the family lived together. So this goes back to this whole other property that Hernandez has supposedly gotten, which was this basically rinky-dink 2-bedroom apartment that he was supposed to be laying low at. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Following his death, new reports surfaced questioning Hernandez's sexuality. And this is where longtime journalist of the Boston Herald and the New York Daily News, Michelle McPhee, comes into. I do not like this lady. Okay, she was smug and arrogant in that 2-part 4-hour documentary about Aaron Hernandez. If you haven't seen it, go check that out, and you will see her in there talking about this situation in regards to Aaron Hernandez's sexuality. And it was rumors that he was homosexual around the time he committed suicide after he was found guilty of first-degree murder in 2015 and sentenced to serve life in prison. He basically killed himself in his cell. And Hernandez's attorney said his client was definitely gay. And he describes the immense pain that it caused him and the self-hatred that came from growing up in a culture that was anti-gay. And another lawyer was reported to say that prosecutors had threatened to raise the issue of his sexuality during the 2012 drive-by shooting trial, which was something that Aaron was afraid of, basically. And a college girlfriend said that Hernandez was molested as a child, but he never dealt with it, and it led to issues in his sexuality. A book by Jonathan Hernandez was published this month. It's being promoted as describing his sexuality among other topics. And Jonathan says that his brother was basically just tormented by their father. He just says a lot of stuff inside of that book. But back to this woman that I can't stand. The reason why I don't like this lady, and I'm going to get into detail. Her April 17th appearance on Kirk and Callahan's show, on a radio show, was not supposed to have anything to do with Hernandez. She was invited onto this show to talk about her book. She had a best-selling new book, and it was called Maximum Harm. And she was supposed to be talking about an insider account of the Boston Marathon bombings. But during a commercial break, McPhee confided to the host about a rumor which she claims had long circulated in Boston police circles, that the former NFL star was closeted bisexual. And so I went to go listen back to her talk about this on the radio, and it was unfortunate to hear her discuss this. She was just disgusting with it. She disgusted me. Listen, I know everybody wants to get the scoop of a story, but to have certain stories that you discuss drip with so much disdain because you're disgusted with homosexuality or a person or whatever the case may be. This was this man's personal life, and there was a reason why his attorney, who was homosexual himself, decided to not disclose that information. And I can't stand when someone else takes responsibility for exposing a secret that a person is not ready to open up about. If a person isn't ready to open about something in regards to their personal life, it is not your obligation to bring it up, especially when it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the murders, with the stuff that he was charged with. None of it had to do with homosexuality whatsoever. And for this woman to bring it in there like that and speak about it with so much perversion, I can't stand this lady. She disgusts me. She really does. And then when she got on the documentary, she was so smug and she didn't even care. It was disgusting just to see her act like that. People are lacking all types of compassion. What if it was your family member? What if it's something, what if one of your kids was homosexual and didn't want to tell anybody, but they were getting in trouble in regards to something else in school or with the law, whatever the case may be? Would you have a level of compassion with that? This lady just disgusts me. Some journalists who claim they're journalists, they're not journalism. That's not journalism. That's rumors and gossip, and that's something that she should have kept to herself. And then she had the nerve to get onto another show later on after she was dragged to filth. She gets onto another radio show after the documentary has been released and starts talking about she feels vindicated. Bitch, you shouldn't feel vindicated at all, because that documentary made her look like even worse of a person. This woman is disgusting. She seriously did not care. She's like, well, why did I have to get in trouble for something everybody already knew? No, everybody did not already know that. Most of his fans did not know that he was homosexual. Most of the world did not know that. That was something that people that was close to him knew. Players even knew. And it's a lot of secrets going on inside of the NFL that's not supposed to be blasted around to the whole population of the world. God. This woman disgusts me. She's so disgusting. Anyway, before all of this, right when he signed that $41 million contract with the New England Patriots, despite all this money and all this fame and the new baby on the way and him about to be married, he couldn't even relax long enough to enjoy it. There was too much pressure on him. He had asked Bill Belichick for help. There were some players out there that said a lot of people, they would have got a lot of credit for shooting Aaron. Even though that would mean they were going to jail for life, it would be worth it to them. That's a level of jealousy that I can't even describe. Listen, he was a tight end getting a $41 million contract, and he wasn't even over the age of 25. This man was 22. He had just signed this contract. How many NFL players do you know just getting into the NFL with a $41 contract, and he's just a tight end? Wasn't like he was a quarterback. Think about that. That is a hell of an accomplishment. Do you know how many men are jealous of that? First of all, football is a very aggressive sport to begin with. Imagine how much violence pops off between these men on a day-to-day basis. It's ridiculous. Listen, Hernandez asked for help. And I think if it was handled differently, if someone would have helped him in the way that he needed help, I don't think this would have happened, because he ended up going out there getting his own personal security, which was basically some thugs from around the corner that he known for a long time. That ain't had shit to lose. He just signed a $41 million contract, just had a baby, and is about to get married. He had so much to lose. Of course he was a target. They don't tell you that when you become successful, you become a target. Hernandez specifically said to his coach that he was concerned about his daughter and his baby, and that people were going to harm him. So let's talk about Brandon Lloyd, one of his teammates. He talks about how he was warned about Aaron Hernandez when he first got onto the team. So Brandon Lloyd was a former New England wide receiver, and he told the Boston Globe that some other players had warned him about Hernandez. And it was basically about homosexuality. And he was telling Brandon that Hernandez was going to talk about being bathed by his mother. Hernandez was going to have his genitalia out in front of him while they're sitting there talking. And he's going to talk about gay sex. And you just have to ignore it and walk away. So that's one of the stories that the other players told Brandon Lloyd when he came into the situation, when he joined the team. So everybody knew that there was an inkling of homosexuality in regards to Aaron Hernandez. I'm sure Aaron Hernandez wasn't the only homosexual athlete in the NFL. I'm sorry, I just refuse to believe it. But it's such a masculine sport. A lot of people believe homosexuality is a little feminine. People also talked about his mood swings. They said that Aaron Hernandez was erratic, and that he would shift gears into being very, very angry and then being very, very sensitive. The week of his death, Aaron Hernandez was having a pretty good week, actually, because on Friday, April 14th, a jury had acquitted him of the double murder that they had charged him for, the 2012 double murder. And he was so relieved. Like, I remember seeing him. He looked like, oh, thank you. Yes. And he was very, very happy. And they were also trying to overturn the life sentence as well, because they were appealing all of this stuff. They wanted to appeal the whole Odin Lloyd thing. Odin Lloyd was supposedly his longtime friend. And you guys know the story of Odin Lloyd. He basically went with Aaron Hernandez. They went to pick him up, him and like two other homies. And Lloyd went out somewhere. They picked him up. And then Lloyd had like texted his sister and said, I just want to tell you where I'm going. And then he types in NFL. He doesn't say that he's with Aaron, but he does say NFL. And then they had some footage. I saw some footage in the documentary where it shows that they went to go pick up Mr. Lloyd. And then when they came back, he was no longer with them because they had left him in like this field next to the house. Now, I don't know what happened with that. But I honestly think, to me, I don't think Aaron Hernandez was the one that pulled that trigger. I definitely feel like it was one of the other two that was with him, and he just decided not to snitch. And think about it. Less than a week later, after this was appealed, after the Boston jury acquitted him, and he was going through another appeal, so he went and spent life in prison over this murder of Odin Lloyd. A week later, not even a full week, He hung himself with a bed sheet in his jail cell the same day that Michelle McPhee, that journalist I can't stand, spoke about him. She outed him on the radio, and he killed himself that same freaking day. That is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. And this woman does not deserve to be glamorized. Aaron Hernandez is not being glamorized for the mistakes that he made. So this woman, hopefully one day she'll be able to woman up about her shit. It's the nature that she did it. It isn't even the fact that he's homosexual. Okay, he's homosexual, but the way she tried to use it, she's a disgusting lady. She's a disgusting lady. And the way that she did it, that interview wasn't even supposed to be about Aaron Hernandez. She should have focused more on the Boston Marathon bombings and her Maximum Harm book. I feel so sorry. My heart goes out to this man. I feel like he just had so much going for himself. He was going to be an amazing man. And unfortunately, he was dealing with so many demons. I mean, he had so much going on. So much between his sexuality and the molestation and the hypermasculinity, the abuse that he received from his father, getting into all of this trouble. He had just had a baby, and his girlfriend wasn't lighting up on him either. I seen text messages from her, and she was just like, dude, what's going on with you? Are we still going to get married? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, she was putting the pressure on him. He had the pressure on him. He was going through it, and he had been thinking about killing himself, I'm sure, long before he was in that jail cell, man. You never know what people are going through. $41 million. Sometimes money don't bring that love and that comfort that you're looking for. But anyway, make sure you put in the comment section below about what you think about Aaron Hernandez. And if you want me to do another Thug Thursday video, make sure you put in the comment section #TrueYouBe, okay? I appreciate y'all. Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.